Shadow on the track. Let's get it. I'm a rock star type nigga, fucks bad bitches. See me in the drop cause I stay.
Alright, welcome everyone back to M.A.S Media and Co. This is your boy Big Mike, and I have my co-host with me.
What's up, y'all? Aaron here.
Alright, so y'all, this is breaking news. The YouTube page. We've been talking about this over the last some odd weeks now. And I, for one, am happy as hell, as all hell, to be able to officially let you all know that our YouTube page is up, y'all, ready for use and ready for your viewership. All the episodes, just a quick disclaimer, not all the episodes are on there yet. I mean, as anyone who YouTube knows, it takes an incredibly long amount of time to upload the videos. And as you know, our content is about 45 to an hour minutes long. Don't ask me why the setup is as it is, with season 1 and season 2 being broken up the way it is. We'll leave that for your imagination. But in the meantime, we have the episodes ready for you guys, set to go. And please, by all means, now we can finally say like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm cheesing a little bit, just with the thought of doing that. But yeah, so guys, please, by all means, take a look at our page. Any comments on, and anybody who knows how to is good with graphics and things of that nature, by all means hit us up, because I definitely would love to make it spruce up our page and create a nice little interactive environment for all of you guys to be able to chime in on our content. But now I digress. Let's get smack dab into the episode of the hour. We are now on season 2, episode 7. I mean, holy shit, I can't believe I can believe, but at the same token, it's kind of crazy to think that we are on season 2 of this illustrious podcast. And with this episode, we are tapping into the vaccine. And I'm definitely going to insert some little clues bomb in there. The vaccine is here, y'all, and it is there. It is available for consumption. I believe they're starting off with the essential workers first, so like the nurses, doctors, things of that nature, people who are on the ground, sort of battling this disease on hand. I believe these are the first individuals who are being targeted as far as rollout of the vaccine. I don't want to go too deep into sort of the sort of logistics of the vaccine, because again, we're not one of those podcasts that's like that's sort of like a medical advocate or things of that nature. So we're not gonna. I want to go into more the sociological aspect of the vaccine and what this means for the American public, right? And what the picture that we're building by introducing such a vaccine kind of does to the dichotomy between people who generally don't like doing vaccines, and people who don't mind, their mother and their father and the rest of their family getting hopped up on vaccines. But before we kind of get into that, I kind of just want to get a gauge. And what have you been hearing? I know we talked earlier. I know you mentioned you weren't crazy hip to everything going on with the vaccine, but I kind of want to know what you've been hearing about this whole vaccine.
Well, I've been reading in the paper about the quote unquote black woman from New York City that was going to be the test dummy for the vaccine. And I've been kind of following that, as far as the paper goes. But I actually recently downgraded my newspaper subscription, so I don't receive them as frequently as I used to. So I haven't read up on her lately to see if she's turned into a zombie yet. So
Nah.
No, in all seriousness, like I mean, that's pretty much it. I do know that where I work, for those of you who don't know, I work at a pharmacy,
Mhm.
and my company will be administering vaccinations for COVID-19. Now, I don't, I'm not relatively happy about that for many reasons, but I'm not going to talk about my job here in great depth. So, but yeah, so what I've been hearing is just people are excited for it, and me personally, I'm very skeptical to say the least.
Okay. Um, yeah, no, I think that's a very wide ranging consensus as far as the people who are looking at this vaccine. From what I'm heard of it, obviously, I believe Pfizer is leading the effort. I believe they want the
Mm-hmm.
contract to sort of by way of the FDA in order to, of course, to release the vaccine that's created and supposedly and something that I believe the those of the Caucasian nature, or those in power would want us to believe, is that an African American woman, is behind creating said vaccine. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's all grand and fine, but last time I checked, she is not me and I am not her. So I really
Mm-hmm.
could. I mean, I think it's funny when people like Fauci, um, not even to be on some to lean any which way politically and whatnot, but even just on its face value, when I look at someone like Fauci kind of coming to the helm, and if this video is accurate as far as him saying, the African American community, should be, you know, relatively comfortable with taking this vaccine simply off the strength that someone of our quote unquote like was one of the spearheads for creating the vaccine. Um, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that's just folly. I think that's just incredibly insidious, and I think that is why there is a huge amount of distrust between the American people and their government, namely in the inner
Mm-hmm.
city community. I think this is something that is going to create a huge divide, if not already, and it's kind of why I wanted to touch base on this topic today because as I scroll through social media with getting, little ideas of what's going on in the trending society around us, I see that there are a ton of people who are sending out the memes about anti-vaxxers and poo-pooing. I'm sorry, the vaxxers poo-pooing on anti-vaxxers, and anti-vaxxers pooping on vaxxers. Namely, one meme talking about um, why should the government care about you, like why should the government be so worried about implanting a chip in your non-relevant life or something around those lines, as like it's like, yeah, we really the government really wants to know about what you do for a living, Jared, that works at a grocery store. Like they really want to know what you got going on in your life. And I'm just like, yeah, that's a really basic and disruptive sort of take on why people generally don't want to take the vaccine. I think that's incredibly disingenuous, and it's just it creates a huge um, it creates more divide where not necessary, when regards to something that's as personal as injecting an unknown substance into your body. Um, so that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of where I'm at with this whole anti-vaxxer and vaxxer battle and war that's going on at the moment on our.
I wasn't even sure that there was a war, to be honest with you. Like I said, I have not really paid attention to it. So like you're telling me that there's a lot of people out there that go to the go to lengths to distinguish one
Absolutely.
another as a vaxxer and a non-vax or anti-vax or
Absolutely.
whatever.
I mean, and it wasn't as much like before. Before it was kind of like one of those things where it's like, oh, you don't like vaccines? Oh, all right, cool. You're one of those people. Now it's become, oh, you don't want to do vaccines like this COVID-19 vaccine that's plaguing the whole entire, you know, our whole entire world. You now want to take that chance with this vaccine. Now I think it's heightened.
Well, well, that's just insane to me. Like I've never heard this
Trust
before,
me.
and
Uh,
no, no, I believe you.
yeah,
Yeah, listen, I have no reason to not believe what you're
absolutely.
saying. Um, because it sounds crazy enough to be true, especially in this age. But it's just mind boggling to me that people would feel so strongly about a vaccine when the the mortality rate, especially in this country, is low.
Absolutely.
It's so low. Now, am I saying that to downplay it or whatever? No, a human life is a human life. So anything killing human lives, obviously, like I'm not for. And I understand that could be me. It could be a little child, a young child. It could be an elderly person. I understand all that, but like from United States, 1.8%. That's the case
Mm-hmm.
fatality rate overall, 1.8%. Now, obviously, we know that there's people out there that are more inclined to die from this. So when you hone in on those demographics, yes, obviously the percentage is going to be higher. But as an overall, most average Joes and Janes out there, they don't really have much to worry about. It's not to the point where they should be out here, according to you, and I believe you, taking these hard stances, willing to draw lines and categorize or miscategorize people that are choosing to or not to take the vaccine. So I just think that's crazy. And if the overall fatality rate was like in the teens or whatever or higher, then yeah, I get it. Hey, you know what? Shit, we gotta get this. You know what I'm saying? Get yours, 'cause I'm getting mine.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? For 1.8% in this country, and then when you look around at other countries, the highest is I think Mexico was up there with like nine
Mm-hmm.
percent, and they're pretty close to us geographically
Right.
speaking. But again, 1.8%. It's funny that I just said that because Mexico is at 9%, and they're geographically close to us. And now, as you all know, Donald Trump won't be president
Mm-hmm.
anymore. So I wonder how do those people feel about taking down the wall now and allowing all those cases to come over here. I'm not to lean any which way. It's just to play
No,
devil's advocate
that's very
because I'm
interesting.
pretty sure people would be like, you know what? No, 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 no. Leave them over there. No, no, no. Okay, all right. See, but everything is
Right, of
subjective.
course.
And we need to do a better job of looking at things objective because we won't find ourselves in positions like that where you might have been one of the people saying, oh well, I'm against the wall. People should be able to come in. And fast forward a couple months or a couple years, and now, do you really want those people coming in?
I think that's a really fair point. I honestly, when I was putting together this, and I think it's because I didn't have that statistic on hand, but I appreciate you bringing that to light. I mean, that is something that um, I could definitely see creating. Essentially, I mean, I know there's more. We can't ask for more divide than there already is, um, but yeah, I could definitely see that becoming a hot plate topic, especially with the people that are in these I don't want to call them internment camps essentially, but these the sort of those camps that they put the illegal quote unquote aliens into, and I can
Mm-hmm.
only see this hot button topic creating even more um, infuriating sort of views on whether or not to allow people who are just simply trying to quote unquote try to get the American way or try to live the American life. Is that at this point in time relatively you know the right way to go when it comes to jeopardizing, because we don't know where that 9% comes from. I could lend to believe that it's because of the fact that already they have poor hospital conditions um, in most of the outer areas of Mexico. So I'm not talking about the sort of metropolitan areas of Mexico, and which are moving across the ranks as far as um, credibility from a technological
Mm-hmm.
perspective. But more so, we all know that Mexico is not, the majority does not lie in that those metropolitan areas, right? So I could just imagine,
Mm-hmm.
the hospitals that exist in some of these rural locations that are probably incredibly overfilled, that were probably didn't have any sort of legislation pushed towards, the sanitation requirements and things of that nature. I could just imagine there's probably a ton of reasons as to why that junk is at 9%. So for the fact that we
Mm-hmm.
know that, uh, allowing those people to come here is like a, I feel like it would be just a, just literally like opening Pandora's box, um, so to speak. So
Yeah.
that I could definitely see that being an interesting topic as the months lie on, especially with Joe Biden becoming president. That should be something I hope he addresses from that end, because I know people are still hot and heavy about those claims. But I do want to talk,
Yeah.
right, about like the benefits, right? I mean, I know we've kind of, and I want to make sure we're being at, devil's advocates, because I know if anyone, if FDA comes on here, if they magically decide to listen to our podcast, I would hope that they don't take this as we're just simply saying, and I know that's one of our points as far as a zombie apocalypse potentially coming, to be here to just, to send out egregious and, non-credible news. So
Yeah, like
correct. Yeah. So
misinformation,
I do want to be the devil's advocate, and for those that do want to take the vaccine, can we see any benefits behind such a vaccine?
Well, yeah, uh, so this is where I stand on it. If anyone, especially our listeners, even you, Mike, if anyone wants to go and take the vaccine, that's your prerogative. At the end of the day, we're all supposed to have, freedoms and liberties, and that should be
Sure.
protected in that. So people feel scared and they want to go do that, then by all means, you know, um, uh, more power to you. Exercise your rights and your freedoms. But for me, with most things, it ends when you try to tell me what I should be doing, what I shouldn't be doing, and trying to castigate me. Oh, and not even just me, others in general. I'm against that. You exercise your right and don't infringe or encroach upon others. Just leave it at that. I can't really say much else about it because it's a
Correct.
personal decision. Now, for me personally, no, I'm not going to get the vaccine. Like I said, I personally don't see a reason to. The mortality rate is low, especially for demographics. And for our demographic, our age group, Michael,
Right.
it's low, especially if we're healthy and don't have
Mm.
pre-existing injuries. It's relatively low. There's been professional sports players that have gotten it, like Westbrook, and have came back. Now, am I in the same shape as Russell Westbrook? No, I'm not. But it's not a death
Sure.
sentence. This virus. So I don't, see a reason to get it. And not for nothing, I've been working minus a month because I had some other issues going on, but minus a month, I've been working the whole time during this, and even when it started, before there was the 6 feet apart thing, before it was all the regulations, before masks were mandatory, all of that. And I was working, in the
Mm.
food industry. So at that point, I was very close to people, obviously. And now I work in a pharmacy. I consider my job ground freaking zero. Every day I go to work, that's ground zero. You know how many people come up to me on a daily basis and ask me, "Hey, do you guys do COVID testing here?" Now, in my mind, I say to myself, "You're way too close to me." And then I also say to myself, "You're asking that probably because you think that you may have it. And you're here asking me if we have to the test." So, how many people do you think I come into contact on a daily basis with that have it, had it? You know, you know, dozens probably.
Yeah, I can.
Dozens. Sick people go to pharmacies. So like I said, I've been on ground zero, and knock on wood, I haven't gotten it, or if I did, I'm asymptomatic. Am I sitting here saying that I'm immune or I'm Superman and downplaying it? No, I'm not. It's serious. It can kill. Not don't take my words and try to create a straw man out there. No, but for me personally, I don't see a need. If I do happen to get it, I'm just gonna play it out like it's a flu. And if it happens to take my life, then that's how I go out. Then that's just how it goes out. Um, and then if anyone was to say, "Oh well, then maybe that's why you should have got the vaccine," I could have went to the vaccine, got the COVID-19 en route to get the vaccine and wind up dead anyway. After I got the vaccine, thinking I'm going to be okay, but I died. So let's not try to get too deep into those rabbit holes of the what ifs and stuff like that. That's just how it is for me. I have a lot of faith. Um, in general, I just have faith. And something bigger than myself. So I'm not all too worried. If that's the route for me, then that's the route for me. That's it.
Okay, I mean, I get that, and I can't say I disagree with that take. I think I'm more so saying, like, for those people who are choosing to take it, right? Like, what can we see any benefits for them going that route? Um, yeah, that.
Oh well, I mean, not
Okay.
not really, because and obviously I'm not a
Mm-hmm.
scientist. you know, I'm not a doctor. I don't have a PhD in biology or anything like that. But what I do know is that viruses are living things, and they grow and they change just like every other living thing. And just because you get a COVID-19 vaccination doesn't mean shit. People have to get the flu vaccine every goddamn year, and that's a
Right.
vaccine that I don't get. I don't get it. But you know what? In my mind, I treat it the same way I treat like the lottery. Now, for instance, I played the lottery. Now, it's one of those things where it's like you kind of got to do it all the time, because if you don't, and then your numbers hit, you're gonna feel like a piece of shit because if the only people who played that day, you know what I mean? And that's how the vaccine is. If you start getting flu vaccines, I could only imagine that I would have to go get it every fucking year. Because then if I don't get it one year, you know how nervous I'd probably be? Like, oh my God, oh shit, I got a cough, oh shit, like no, 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 no. I'm 30 years old. The flu hasn't taken me out. I can count on one hand how many times I've had the flu. I can count on one finger how many times I had the flu. Again, am I saying that I'm like, like I just can't get sick? No, I'm not saying that at all. But what I am trying to say is that it overall it doesn't really matter. You can get a vaccine, you're gonna have to get the next one anyway. If you subscribe to that, and the flu
Right.
kills people every year. But I don't subscribe to that. I'm not saying I don't subscribe to the numbers in reality. No, I get that. I don't see it. Look, if I'm going to get it, either I'm going to survive it or I'm not going to survive it. I can't live my life every day in fear of something that's probably not going to kill me. I'm probably more likely to be killed by my wife than I am by the flu
That's a good point.
or COVID-19.
And I think that's where I was more so going. I mean, I do the only benefit, and I because honestly, I believe a lot of these benefits are, if there are benefits to taking the vaccine, are just simply subjective, right? It's more so, and that's why you say, like, I agree with your point about it being a personal decision, right? It's something that you innately want to do for thyself, and obviously for those that
Mm-hmm.
you presume to, come in contact with. But essentially, if you're telling me that if I don't take it, so first let me give my stand. I think the benefit to taking it is that the person who does take it gets some existential peace of mind, right? That I have it,
Mm-hmm.
and now not that I'm immune, but I just my chances of getting it and having a catastrophic reaction to it are now lessened, right? So I'm playing that game fine and all, and that's dandy, right? And I think that's great. But at the same token, I think that is if you're going to live like that, I think you must ask yourself how far are you willing to take that mentality, right? Because if you're going to tell me that if I don't now into our point to continue about I think why we're just this is not really a sound um, a sort of a sound road that we're traveling down is because if you look at it, people are now questioning the morality of those who choose not to. Right. So let's say, for instance, I get it, and then now you're worried about if I get the vaccine. Now people are choosing to worry about other people's elders in their family, and I'm just like, y'all never asked me about my grandmother or my grandfather before. Since when do you give a fuck about the
Mm-hmm.
older people in my family now? If I'm choosing to carry myself in a way where I'm not saying this, but irresponsibly, then that is the route that I'm choosing to go on. Just as if if I chose to be a bungee jumper, I'm taking on the risk that potentially, something can happen. If I, take my family skydiving, something, God forbid, could happen to my family, right? Like these are choices that we make every single
Yeah,
create this when people take these
yeah.
routes, right? These kind of low blows, it just says a lot about the maturity of those that are creating these arguments, right? Because it's like I don't think you really give a fuck about the grand scope of those who are fake. Again getting on your soapbox of high morality and trying to sell this notion that you're just so much better of a human being as the next person.
But you know what, Mike? That's an issue, and I know who does that. And you know who does it too. It's the super vocally wokes and the liberals. And again, I'm not sitting here trying to like castigate, but that's just who it is. Because, and I'm not saying that I'm liberal, or I'm conservative or not. For the most part, um, I'm kind of like just out of it, out of that whole sphere. But those are the people that try to paint this picture of, oh, if you don't agree with me, then I have to question your intelligence, I have to question your morals, and also, and it's, whoa, hold on. I made it super clear, and obviously you're not the one questioning me, but I made it super clear. And if anyone else can articulate their stance on this the way like the way I did,
Right.
then there should be no problem with it. It's super simple. This is how I feel. If you want to go and do it for whatever reasons, whether it's a righteous reason that you have or it's a selfish reason that you have, I don't know. I don't give a damn. That's
Right.
your prerogative, and those are your rights to exercise. That's where it ends. That's literally as far as it goes. You don't have to turn it into questioning people's moralities, or
Mm-hmm.
morality, or intelligence. Like cut that stuff out. Like, why are, first of all, I don't care if you do or you don't, because that just, I don't have any, I have no business with you,
Right.
no dealings with you or anyone like that for that matter. But for those people that are like our listeners that are listening, if you see yourself engaging in back and forth with people like that, and you see them doing that, just end the conversation right there. There's no reason for it to go any further. If it's one of your close friends or your family members, yes, same rules apply. Just let it go right there. All right. If people can't respect and they don't have to agree with your rights, but they have to respect your rights, and that's the fundamental freedom and liberty. All right, those are the
Absolutely.
super fundamentals ones. If I wasn't to lean anywhere politically, it would actually be libertarian, because I'm for liberty. I want my liberty, and I think everyone should have their own fucking liberties. Leave people the hell alone for the most part. For the most
Yeah.
part. For the most part. Now, there are certain things that obviously we've spoken about, Mike, that but for the most part, yes, liberty and justice for all. So you know, yeah, it kind of angers me when I hear it, because I know who what the people are that are saying it, and you see it on Facebook all the time, and it's like same old freaking song and dance. They're holier than thou. They're on a quote unquote right side of history and all this shit,
Yeah, I mean,
and they don't
and
know
you
a
got,
goddamn
and I
thing
think,
about
and
anything.
I don't want to play. I'm not saying you are, but I just essentially, I don't want to. I'd rather the wokey wokes and all them. I really, I just, because I mean, at the end of the day, I'm going more so, and it's around those people that are just like that play that sense, right? Because what I don't want this is to get lost on is that, like, I know you're doing this. When you say that, you obviously you're gearing towards a particular type of person, but I don't want to be lost because of the fact that those nicknames are being used, right? I don't want the point to be lost that, oh, we're just coming at, the lefties and things like that. No, it's just what I want to focus on is the mentality of people who carry about life in such a fashion that anything that, when it comes to a high stakes situation, if I don't lean left when I'm supposed to left, or lean right when I'm supposed to lean, I'm essentially just a piece of shit, that's walking this green earth. And I think that's, incredibly childish. And I think it's, it shows again a lot about the maturity of your intellectual, the intellectual property that you hold within that mind of yours. And I think that's something that I for one have a huge issue with. And it's because and as for our next topic within this conversation is about the possible implications that can be created um for those that choose not to get vaccines, right? Like if, for instance, in the UK, they have vaccination cards, right? So if you have taken the vaccine,
Hmm.
you now get a moniker on your and an ID or something around that nature that indicates that you have taken the COVID-19 vaccine that's being rolled out overseas, and so this creates a huge dichotomy between, again, those that hold cards, because now let's say, for instance, your business is one that's oh righteous and oh thou, and now my favorite bar that I go to, or um my favorite food place that I go to, now no longer serves people who don't have a card, or that job that I've been like inkling to get, that I've always wanted to get, and now I have to make a decision between something that is so personal, right, Aaron, that you mentioned earlier, because that is a huge personal decision. Now I have to make the difference between taking my dream job and not not being vaccinated. I just think that that's incredibly facetious, and I don't
Hmm.
see why it has to. And I hope it doesn't go down that route. But I don't think the people that the vaxxers, as they're called, I don't think they understand that, like, this is what people who are like me and Aaron are sort of, we don't want this route to come, right, where it's like this is being now. It's one thing for the government to have their hand in so many other things, but now you're telling me that I have to knowingly inject something into my body. I'm not a drug. I've never done drugs for my entire life. I've never, Aaron, you can attest to this. I've never gone on any route. And now you're telling me, right, that I have to put something foreign into my body before the CEOs of multi-billion-dollar corporations ever have to touch it? No, no, you got me fucked up.
Hmm.
You got me really fucked up, and I don't see why. I do see why. I shouldn't say I don't see why, but it's just something that, for me personally, it creates an anger in me to see those that get so hyped up about other people's personal decisions in life, about the routes they want to go. Like, I just don't understand. I think we keep coming back to this about, but since when did we have a whole bunch of Judge Mathises running around our society? But yeah, you guys do shit every single day. You smoke weed,
Hmm.
this, you do all these different things that, you're doing all of these, knowingly um, potentially problematic things that to your health. But yet, when it comes to someone saying, I think I'm going to take a no to this vaccine, that nobody is being forced upon as far as the wealthy and the elite, but the common people are the ones that are being peddled and pushed upon this, and nobody's batting an eye to this notion whatsoever. Come on, come on, man. This is how the sheep get caught. This is how the
Hmm.
sheep get meddled and pushed into the stable. But yeah, but I mean, again, I digress. I think
Yeah.
this is something that I feel like a conversation that needs to be had.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I
Yeah.
think. Let me ask you a question, just for clarity. So, are you hinting towards possible what's that word called, like conspiracy, where the powers that be may be trying to inject us with something
Um, so
else?
I think I'd appreciate that question, actually, because that is something I wanted to mention. I don't know, man. I don't know if there's an underlying agenda with this whole thing. I don't know if there's, because again, the technological experts, the Bill Gateses of the world, are leading this initiative for the vaccine, and it's just like like what business do you have, besides doing what the lane that you're in? It only leads me to believe that there is something technologically um, coerced that's being, applied to this vaccine, that's creating such a whirlwind of necessity on the part of those that want people to take it, especially those that are in
Mhm.
destitute communities and poor off-world I'm off-world um that are in sort of third world nations, in inner city communities. Like they keep on trying to send the, again, it's that savior complex, right, that a lot of these quote on that I'm sorry to say that a lot of Caucasian people have, and it's like you're really trying very hard, and people, the fact that they're trying so hard, and yet a lot of people are not taking caution to the fact that they are pushing, like they're literally using the language. These people would benefit so much by taking this vaccine, for the people that are Africa, the countries in Africa. But when the fuck did you ever care about what's going on in these countries? Like except for, I mean, Bill Gates is a tough because he has the
Yeah.
foundation, so maybe this is the mask that he's been spitting up all along, so that way he can go ahead and again, this is where the conspiracy theories, start running rampant. But it's like, yo, like, come on, you can't piss on my face and tell me it's rain. It's just, it's insane. When did you care about Africa? So now that there's a pandemic, now all of a sudden everybody cares about what happens to those villages in Kenya that are suffering from, quote unquote, suffering from the coronavirus. Come on, please, it's enough.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm happy that you're looking at it from that perspective because that's one that I looked at it, or the lens that I looked at it as well, and not to be
Hmm.
like conspiracy theorists or anything like that, but not for nothing, I don't take anything from anybody at face value, so you have to look at it from all different angles, and like you said, it's super clear. Like we talk about, the quote unquote black people all the time. These people, they aren't doing that. And if anyone has been listening to any one of our episodes or seasons, they would know the difference between just talking about some stuff that really doesn't offer anything to the community and things that do. If they really want to help the community, how about they take one of the many ideas that you and I
Right.
broached on this podcast and then do that? That'll help us out exponentially more than forcing us to take an immunization for something that has sub 3% mortality rate in this country. Just saying, just saying. So obviously, yeah, there's something up. You're never really worried about us on anything else, but now all of a sudden, no, I'm not going to be your test dummy. That's why, like I said, with that
Well,
woman, that quote unquote black woman in New York, she was going to be the first one to do it. I'm like, wow, like what the fuck, and like what are you doing? It's not to sit here and put, or pit black versus white or nothing like that. It's not even about that. It's just about knowing who you are in this
word.
society, in this country as well. And no, there's no reason for that. You're at the bottom of the totem pole. Well, maybe not the quote unquote
Well,
black woman. The black man is definitely at the bottom of the totem pole. But you
right.
know, they're down there too. They're down here too. But no. So no, you shouldn't be doing that. There's
Dude,
no
like
reason at all
my
for you to
mom,
be doing that.
came like, and
Uh,
my mom's
period.
obviously, she's an anti-vaxxer, as well, but she works in the, in the nursing industry. But even her, she was even saying like, and this is, I thought this was so funny, and I always have to make sure that, because my mom watches a lot of different news cycles, whether it be Fox, CNN, MSNBC. She tries to watch. God bless her. She tries to watch a number of different outlets to give herself, sort of a perspective on the world, right? And I think this is where I get it from. But I think it was very interesting, right, to show that she made a comment, I think today, talking about how, oh wow, there's so many. I didn't realize there's so many African American, people. Um, I'll say it the way she says, just so that way I can remember. She's like, oh my, did you know that there are so many, African, American people, so many quote unquote black people, that are working in the medical industry. I see someone that comes on TV every day now, and I'm like, huh. I'm like, mom, don't you think that's, and I had to like sit down, and I was like, oh, no, let me, let me burst this bubble really quickly, right? Because I was like, mom, pause the TV, right? Look at this, this chocolate woman that's on the screen right now. Look at all the people that are around her. There's nobody else that looks like her on the panel. It's just her. It's literally just her. They're mom. So I was like, mom. So this is how they get these, get African American people, because, and then she was like, whoa, I didn't even know. I didn't even see that. I just keep seeing it every day. They brought a Nigerian doctor on a couple of days ago. They have that's they have these panel experts, quote unquote, who speak on the vaccine now, but they keep on bringing African American, and this is the effect that they want, right? They want to show that, oh yeah, your people are here. So I mean, it's only right that you jump on this boat because your people are here. Does that remind you of something that happened 400, 500 years ago? You know what I mean? It's kind of like, hey, everybody else is doing it, so come on down. And the people that are ignorant, right, and are not going to take the time to figure out, what's really going to be put inside their body, and spare me the dramatics about, you put all this other stuff, yeah, you smoke weed, you smoke cigarettes, so now you put now you're worried about what's in the vaccine. It's like, all right, come on, let's grow up. Okay, so if someone takes that stance now it's like, they're not they shouldn't be enlightened about what they put in their body. They should now give a fuck. Like, everybody should have that opportunity to be personally responsible about what's going on, especially with being injected in them. So I think that's just something, a notion that I definitely, I want people to start looking at, like looking at this insidious picture that the government and those that are looking to benefit mightily. I mean, damn, I wish I would have put some money in the Pfizer stock, because I mean, at the end of the day, whoever's
Yeah,
dropped
right.
in before they got selected is going to be making bukus amounts of money, because of this dropout. So
Oh yeah.
again, like, there's am I going to be the soapbox conspiracy theorist? No, because again, I don't have, and I think we spoke about this in the beginning. We're not that invested in it because we already know we're not doing it. Like, it's not for us. So I don't really need to do my research because I just don't do vaccines and I haven't taken a flu vaccine in forever, right? Because I just know that, like, I don't lead a life that's going to be like, and nor do I have any pre-existing conditions that would let me to say that my life 90% will be in jeopardy when flu season comes around. You know, so that's that. I think that we need
Yeah.
to start looking at the picture that these people are drawing, as far as the ones that are, oh, come on down, because we got sorry to say it like this, but we got Negroes taking it. Y'all are Negroes, right? So come on down. Come on, get your vaccine, Negro. Like, come on now. Come on now. Let's be smarter than idiots. Let's not get dragged across the Atlantic again. And by the Atlantic, I'm talking about your body. Like, your body's worth millions of dollars. If you truly value yourself, if you do decide to take it, you've done all your research, all power to you. But at the same time, you're not going to sit there and tell me that because I did my research and say that vaccines in general are just something that I'm not going down the route of, because I know where my family moves. We don't really go around older people, nor am I going to be putting myself in a situation where I would expect to be spreading and spreading my germs all across the New Jersey coastline. So I think that's the thing I want people to really pay attention to. Just watch, just really watch, because I don't think people really watch what's going on TV these days.
Oh no, people don't watch anything. People don't really, people just take what they hear and they just go from there. They don't really, look into it. They don't want to look any deeper. Um, everything you're saying, Mike, I agree with. I definitely agree with, and I definitely fully understand where you're coming from. I will say this though, I'm sure there are definitely people out there that would hear that and say, "Oh, well, what about what about
Yep.
everybody else? Why not take it for
Yep.
everybody else? Everybody
Well,
else's
what I would
sake."
definitely say
What
to
do you
those
say to those
people
people,
is
Mike?
like, hey, look, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, so I guess if I was to be, brash and and disrespectful, that would be my first answer. But if I was to take a step back and remove the ignorant in me, the blissfully ignorant in me that I love to be at times, um, I would definitely just say, I understand where you're coming from, right? I get that. That's a very honorable take to have. But at the same token, again, I'm not putting myself personally in positions where, like, I have. It's not like I'm walking around with no mask, right? It's not like I'm not wiping myself down when I go to the gym. I stay 6 feet away. I'm adhering to the protocols. You know what I mean? It's one thing if I was out here partying, going to strip clubs every day, fucking with no mask on, out here living my life like it's golden, right? Not giving a fuck about anybody else and just touching people, touching everybody, touching everybody's. Hey, come on over here. Let me grab you up and just spreading and pulling people's masks down and spitting in their mouths and fucking breathing all. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, but that's what I'm
What
trying
the?
to say. Like, you see how crazy that sounds? It's like I'm literally, like, I'm going to now, like, because again, these protocols have been put in place by the people that quote unquote know better, right? So if someone asks me that, I'm like, well, what am I supposed to, like, do when I meet you am I pulling your mask down? Like, am I breathing down your mouth? Like, no. Like, I don't. I'm not gonna be irresponsible about how to live my life around this thing because it's here to stay. You know what I mean? For those of you that think that there's some sort of normal coming back,
Yeah.
so I would say that's a great question, and I understand where you're coming from. But at the same token, if I'm not going to be irresponsible about how I move through my life around this pandemic, I'm not going to say I don't care about those around me. I'm not worried more so about who I'm going to affect because I'm not going to put myself in that position to affect people unnecessarily. That's where I would leave that.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that's a great point, and that kind of points to accountability. People have to be accountable. I think that I couldn't have answered that better myself if someone were to ask me that question. Yeah, I'm not out here just living my life like it's golden, like
Love
you
that.
said. Jill Scott represent. What I'm saying? I'm not out there doing that. And if I were to do that, then yes, judge me and do whatever you got to do, and
Yeah, shame
that
me.
that may make me a
Shame
bad
me all you
person.
want.
You know, yeah, but if I'm not doing that, then I don't think it's any of your business. But then how far do you think this is going to go? Like you said, oh well, like you said, you go to the gym now. Will the gym start to say, hey, people that aren't vaccinated can't come to this gym? Personally, I don't think so, because I think that well, actually, I don't really know the number. I would assume that most people that go to the well, actually,
Mm-hmm.
I ran gyms for several years, so I could tell you the way gyms make money outside of personal training is by the ghost accounts. It's the people that sign up
That
and
makes
then
sense.
and they never come back for whatever reason. So so now the question would be, what percentage of those people are going to be the people that are going to be outraged about it enough to say, oh well, the gym that I'm paying money to every month that I don't go to is allowing non-vaccinated people to go in. I'm pissed off. I'm going to go cancel. And I don't really see that happening, but crazier things have happened. So I don't see gyms taking it to that degree. But
Mm-hmm.
let's just entertain that for a second. So say you're a gym, Mike, was to say if you're not vaccinated, you can't come here. What would be your
Lord, man,
what
I
would be
would
your
feel
reaction to that?
I would feel incredibly powerless. Because that's something it would just be like, damn, like, so now my personal health, what would actually help me best in regards to fighting said disease, as far as keeping up with personal fitness and whatnot in a responsible manner. Now that's been taken from me. Now and it's obviously we just got a snowstorm. You know what I mean? We just got a in a 12 in some places. No homo. Wow, that sounded crazy. Um, but we just got a huge snowstorm, so it's like the and it's getting colder as we speak. So now it's like my options are now being thrown off the table for me to keep up. Sure, is there a workout? I mean, I'm 6'3", almost 300 pounds. Like, there's not much space in any room that I go into where I'm going to be able to jump around, do jump, fucking a whole bunch of, you know, activities inside my house. Like, I'm sorry, so this is something that would be incredibly troubling to hear. Would I understand? Because I try to be a very understanding person. I would definitely get it, but at the same time, it's like shit, man. Which is why to bolster that my answer, this is why I really appreciate Joe Biden. And I hope he keeps this stance. Because if he goes back on this, I mean, Lord, I can only imagine the firestorm he's going to hit. But he's saying that already now that he's not going to make vaccinations mandatory, right? Um, so it's someone at that level, right? Even though say what I will about the power of the president, at face value, just seeing an official, elected official who's just had the whirlwind of a storm that he's gone through versus his opponent Trump, um, it's just to say that now it does create a little sense of, hey, look, like, if someone who's being literally he's having to tread incredibly soft as far as what he says and does because of the person that he just went against, who obviously didn't really care about what his advisors were telling him not to and to say. Someone obviously was telling Biden, hey, look, here are the pros and cons about you making this statement. And he still felt it necessary to make the statement that he's not going to make it mandatory for vaccination. That to me says a lot, right? Because Biden has been in politics for the last 40 plus years, right? So he understands the game. So there must be a reason as to why, he took that stand as opposed to not making a statement at all, right? So yeah, so if my gym
Yeah.
was to still take that route, even knowing that the government is not going to make it mandatory at this moment in time, or what they're saying, to make it mandatory, if they're going to still take that stance, I'd be incredibly disheartened, and I'd be like, shit, well, I better find a gym that definitely doesn't do it, and I better get all my money. You better not fucking, you better not charge me on the 15th because I'm going straight to LA Fitness and Clark, and I'm blowing that motherfucker down. I'm blowing it, and you won't have shit to worry about vaccinations otherwise.
Yeah.
Sorry, uh, I have nothing. Worry about what I said. Look, just
Yeah.
uh, I'm not advocating for violence whatsoever. I'm a very calm. I'm very understanding, and so please, by all means, do not take my words as a direct threat. Um, I blame Aaron. Aaron brought this question upon me. I didn't think to had made my statement just now. So, Lord have mercy. Oh, oh Lord, we're gonna lose. Oh shit, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Sorry, you're like breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, I was over here
Yeah.
panicking
Yeah.
because
You're definitely breaking
I
up a
think
little bit there.
hopefully I didn't jeopardize the podcast by so crazily. Um, yeah, so that would be my answer to your question. Hear me? Um, I know there's a little interference at the moment, but yeah, that's how I would go about it if they were to take something like that. If anything, if I was going up for a job and they were saying that the difference between me getting this job or not is a vaccine, I'd be like, oh fuck, like goddamn, really? Really, after all the rounds of interviews that I went on, after all
Yeah.
the superlatives and all the ass kissing that I had to do to get this job, and now you're telling me the difference between my dignity and this fucking, like, I've already lost enough of it, basically agreeing that I like your favorite team. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh yeah, you like the Jets? Oh, I love the Jets. I got to do that whole song and dance, and now you're telling me the difference between getting this job now is a needle to my skin. Come on, man, please, Lord. At what point does the control get taken? Get brought back? Like, like my soul can only take so much, man.
Yeah.
So I guess that's how I would answer that question, which is a very solid question because I think that's what I'm scared of the most. I don't think scared because I know we're possibly couldn't go that route because they already know the shit whale that is waiting for them if they do. But even still, man, like the fact that it could happen depending on how severe, more severe this virus gets, potentially, I could. There's nothing beyond the realm of reason for them to think they, wouldn't think about instituting something like that. But yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a good conversation on my end. I think I just hope to kind of round up. I hope our viewers just I know we say this every well, I try to at least on my end. Aaron tries um to push us, push you guys uh sort of start thinking outside the box, right? When you see something on TV, it's not always what you think, it is, right? Sometimes there are, things being done in order to persuade you to move in a certain way in your life. And the vaccines are no different than anything else that someone is trying to sell you on to move forward. So all I say is, hey, look, if you're gonna do it, just have as much research in your pocket as possible. And if you're not gonna do it, stand strong in that belief because and have the notion that this is something that I just don't want to do and I don't feel comfortable doing and stand steady in that. There's nothing wrong with being firm in a belief and moving forward because that's what America's all about, the freedom to believe in and to enact on one's own wishes and desires in a responsible manner. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that
all
sums it
right.
all up, man, for the most part.
Yes,
I
no, yeah.
think that
Thank you
was
for that.
a
I
good
know.
discussion.
I'm glad we got to the hour. I know it's gonna be. I'm glad we were able to take this in this many directions. And I hope our viewers take away something from this conversation because I definitely did. As far as points that you brought up, Aaron. I'm glad you were able to touch base on those because I think they're well needed. Those statistics, me off guard. I definitely didn't know that about some of the other nations that are battling this disease. So I think it's necessary for us to kind of see the picture of what's going on around us, and then create an opinion from there as far as taking this vaccine. But all right, y'all.
Yeah.
That is your boys here at M.A.S Media checking out. Again, we have the YouTube page up. Like, comment, and subscribe to your boys here at M.A.S Media, man. I mean, we're over here. We're evolving as we speak. And before you know it, we're gonna be on the national airwaves. I'm manifesting it as we speak. All right. So again, this is
Uh-huh.
Big Mike checking out.
Are you sure about that?